in complete gratitude of that, I always say to my husband, I can't believe I still get to do this job. He's like, you're never going to retire. And I was like, I'm never going to retire. Why would I?
Filmmaker Magazine presents Back to One with Peter Rinaldi.
Michelle Monaghan is an actor. She sat down with me on the Upper West Side of Manhattan to talk about the work.
I worked with a lot of wonderful directors, and one director in particular who I loved for many reasons was Cary Fukunaga, and he was the kind of director. Some people will say to me, "What do you think what's the best characteristic in a director?" And I've thought long and hard about it, and I really appreciate a director that has a strong vocabulary, because he would come in for moments, and whether it was just specific to me or, because every actor has their own process, but he would just come in and give me one word.
Wow.
And it was really powerful, because it didn't have to be a long conversation.
Yeah.
And it would ground me in whatever that moment was, or it would really inspire me, or it would just really turn my performance on, do a complete 180, and whatever his motivation was, it was just so inspiring because it was soft and it was just in the ear.
Yeah.
And it was exciting
and igniting.
And it was igniting. What a beautiful word to say.
I don't have
great.
a vocabulary.
But that's the thing. That's the thing. If somebody can just come and give you that word, you're just like, wow. And it's great because it's subtle enough that when an actor is really deep in the moment and in the scene, when a director comes over and tries to have a conversation about that, it really can pull one out. Yeah. And that is a really astute quality to, I think, as a director, to recognize an actor's process, and especially when its material is kind of deep and intense, is what we all were working on, to quietly come in the ear, say the word, duck out, and then just, action. And it was incredible.
We've only been doing this for 120 years. So maybe it's going to take another 100 years before this becomes a thing that people know it works in order in the team of actor director thing, right? Why has that taken so long? Why is this not a thing that's taught?
I know. It's interesting. I always really love preparation, specifically, obviously, just my own acting prep, but working with the director. Then I really love the long conversations that we have about arc and story and development and character. And hopefully, by the time then we roll cameras on the first day, and I think most actors feel this way, I assume, is that it's so much in my bones, and the directors as well, that there's we have a very short,
shorthand.
Shorthand. Thank you. We have a really, it's like a shorthand, and sometimes we know it so well. It's it's that look. You're like, that's the moment, or you can really speak with very, very few words, and so I do enjoy that process because.
Is there a time though where that kind of talk, you were ready to hear that more than other times? Meaning that kind of talking. Do you have to do your own preparation work before you have that talk about the ideas that he or she has? I will come in with very strong instincts upon reading something for the first time. I'll know if it's something that I want to dive into, and I can identify exactly why I want to do it very, very quickly. And those initial conversations will be, yes, I want to do this project, and this is why. This is what I see in this character. This is a challenge. This is really exciting to me. I really would love to explore this further. And then that allows for an open dialogue about, yes, we're creatively on the same page here, or for the director to be like, oh wow, I
did not see that. Let's talk about that further, or be like, well, I don't know, maybe it's this perspective, this perspective I want to explore. So I love to have those initial conversations, because I always certainly want to make sure that that we share really the same creative vision. It doesn't have to be exactly the same, but that we're aligned in terms of what we want to present and convey, certainly. And then once we're kind of on this, we have the broad strokes of that, then I'm someone who I will text you. I will be like, oh my gosh, I had this great idea. And it could be anything from a moment or a dialogue or a wardrobe or hair. It could be anything that's, anything that kind of leans into the details of the broad strokes. And that's when it gets really exciting to me. And so that's when I think all of those really, really wonderful creative conversations happen, where we really are able to deduce from moment to moment exactly what's happening. So by the time we start really rolling cameras and that scene is there, we know exactly what we want to get, and we'll get that, and then we'll leave, because we're so planned and organized in that way, then it inevitably creates space to then try different things as well, which is what I love, and that's where a lot of the magic comes from.
And a good director wants those texts from you, right? I mean, a good director wants that kind of collaboration and those ideas flowing.
Agreed, right? agreed. Like I do too. I mean, that goes both ways. I'm like, if it's a piece of music, that inspires you, that you hear, send it my way. Any of those kinds of things that help build and shape the character or the story is just really exciting to me.
Have you ever come upon somebody that just wanted you to be their clay that they are molding? You know what I mean? To not have those ideas. And what do you do in that situation?
Gosh, it's such a good question. I really have to think long and hard here, because
But this is already a good sign that you have to think about
I have to think
this.
about it. Yeah, I don't think I've had that. I don't think I've had that experience. And even going back at the very beginning of my career, and we're obviously going back 20 years, I feel like I was really lucky to work with really collaborative, very respectful directors, and even ones that maybe I didn't necessarily like, maybe their approach, their directing style, or their communication style, or whatever. That was fine. I'm pretty good at rolling with the punches and being able to kind of communicate what I really want to convey and what I think is really important. And sometimes all it is giving them exactly what they want. Also, giving them what they want. When you give them, can I have one more, and then you give them what you want, of course. And sometimes that's a big surprise to them, and they're grateful for it, and they think, oh wow, that was really cool, that was great, thank you. And other times they're like, okay, and moving on, that they're just going to go with the one. I will say, there have been a couple of times, as I've learned, where I knew that if I gave a director a particular take, sometimes it leans into, sometimes directors want to default to the emotion. Sometimes that just may be a note from the studio that they have to get, and they want to lean into a particular thing that I just don't think is authentic for the character. Usually within the arc, for me, I've already made a choice when this is going to happen, and maybe they want it in another place, and they'll ask me to do that. Yeah. And, I'll just say, I don't think I'm really there yet. And sometimes I just really I don't give them that take, because I could do 10 takes of something that I think that are really different just by percentages. And if I give them that one take, that's the take that they'll use for the edit. Right. And it will be a disservice to everything else that I've mapped out for that character. So I guess
you have to almost be thinking in a very bird's eye view of this, and be
100%.
in the editing room, even though you're not allowed
well,
in.
You do, just by the nature and the way we make movies. You know, I'm very spontaneous as well. So, but how I'm speaking it sounds like I'm very methodical, but I'm very methodical in my preparation, because we shoot things, as you know, out of sequence. Yeah. And so in order to protect the arc of the character, I really, you know, more often than not, we're shooting the end before we even shot the beginning. So I have to be really clear again with the director. I want to come to set, obviously, because it's respectful to the crew, also to our days, that we can make our days, that we've had all the conversations. You know, we've had a pregame about it, so to speak. You know, so on the day, you know, we are very clear about what's happening when it's happening, and so I always look at it as bookending a moment, and so I don't necessarily mind if we shoot the end at the beginning or anything like that, because then I feel like I've established a bookend. So then you can just drop me in at any moment in time, and I know what I need to build into or what I need to build from. And I enjoy kind of putting the piece of the puzzle together. My script looks like a crazy person's script, because there's Post-its and notes and, you know, all the different things. It's like I sort of create for lack of a better term, it's like a Bible for each of my films, you know. But if I don't have that, I'm very, very lost without it.
And you didn't really have training. Your training happened on these sets. You developed these ways of approaching the script with these notes and everything, just based on what you need. And nobody told you this is how things are done.
But it's so interesting how it happened, because I studied journalism in college. It was what I'd always wanted to do. And I really had, like, Christiane Amanpour was like everything to me. She still is, by the way. I really respect her tremendously. And I grew up in a home that really, we were constantly talking about current events. And I think, oddly, like, when looking back, whether my folks taught it to me, it was probably a combination of my folks and also reading a lot and watching the news, that there's something fascinating about and important about putting yourself in other people's shoes. That was something that was really, really, my folks lived by that. We took in foster children. I was definitely exposed to a lot of perspective at a young age. And I think that impacted me certainly as a human being. And now when I reflect back on it, I think creatively it actually really impacted me. But I studied journalism, and I wanted to right all the wrongs in the world, and I wanted to report on all of it. And then something happened where it was like I think I got kind of dumped by a boyfriend. My buddy moved out to New York and said, I got a spare bedroom you can move into, no rent. And I realized I was going to have to go back to small markets like Iowa to be a one-man band. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just got out of Iowa. I said, I really like the city. All right, screw it, I'm moving to New York. I go to New York and I said, you know what? Something's gonna happen for me here. I don't know what it is. Continued modeling, paying off my bills. And my intention was to always go back to college and get that degree, because I'd never started something that I never finished. And I was a really motivated person. And anyway, acting took off for me. It was wonderful. And it was one day I was sitting down and I was prepping Gone Baby Gone. And I realized that I was writing my character, and I was using the who, what, when, where, why, and how. And it dawned on me, from Kiss Kiss Bang Bang to, I think, Mission, up until Gone Baby Gone, I still do it. It was the who, what, when, where, why of my character. I wrote my character, who this history, I wrote the backstory and all that. And I kid you not, I think I shed a tear, because it wasn't all for naught. I basically I was like, oh my God, no, this was just a different part of the journey. Right. And then I let go of the idea that I was going to go back to college and actually get the degree. I was like, finally, I don't have to do that. I was looking at researching all these schools in New York. And then I remember I audited a couple of classes by the great Alan Langdon at the Circle in the Square Theater. And I remember reading, I forget which play it was. And I got a scene partner in there. And I was so worried that I wouldn't be able to get up in front of people and do something. And he gave me a long scene. And my scene partner and I worked on it. And I got up and did it. And whoa, I completely lost myself. It was an unbelievable scene. And it was so good. And I think he said something like, I mean, you're ready.
Wow.
You just go do that. Like, wow. Just go and do that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then I proceeded, to kind of work pretty steadily. My career really took off. And when I say Robert Downey Jr. taught me how to improv, Tom Cruise, my gosh, taught me so much. I felt like every job that I went on to, and I still go on to, I learn from my fellow actors because, again, they all have different processes.
Right.
And so I've been really lucky to have worked with actors that are just very instinctual actors. That doesn't mean that I spend so much time preparing for my roles because I think I haven't studied really formally. So I have to really, it's my double time, right? Is to really like learn what if I'm a truck, I played a truck driver in a movie, and I was like, well, I told the director, I was like, listen, I love this movie so much, but I'm gonna have to go get my driver's license to do it. And he was like, no, you don't have to. I was like, no, I actually really have to, and I did. And I'm so grateful that I did because it informed my performance. It's one of the roles that I'm most proud of. And I was like, the deeper I go in the work, and like I said, putting myself in someone else's shoes, the better that I am at doing that, the better the work will be.
Yes. And I think I just put on that movie again last night, Trucker.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Oh.
And I think it matters. I think I would know if you didn't know how to drive that fucking truck. I would know.
That's right. And I'll tell you what, I'm so glad you swore. I love those fucking women, those lady truckers so much. Yeah. Oh my God. Talk about a livelihood that very, very few people know about. And I got to go on short hauls with these women. They really took me into their cabs, literally and figuratively, and the things that they shared with me, the struggles, the challenges, but the pride that they have in being a lady trucker, and how I think the rest of the world perceives that. Perceives them is totally misunderstood. And so I was so proud to get to be able to kind of show that slice of life. Another opportunity again was, playing an Army medic in Fort Bliss, which is another role. These are all independent films. They're kind of the loves of my life, that I'm very proud of. But that again, I was able to kind of show what it was like to be a female soldier and what that experience is like, not only as a female soldier, but as a woman who is a female soldier. And so often we herald all of our gentlemen, our soldiers, as we should. They're, thank you for all your service, but they're heroes when they go downrange and they fight for their country. But women who do that are kind of referred to as bad moms, and that is their experience. And so it's a gift when people share with me their stories. It's a blessing to be a storyteller. It's shaped my life so much. So anytime I don't take it lightly at all. I honor it. I really honor it.
And there's your journalism.
That's my journalism. Right? That's the thing. And I go in there and I ask the questions again. That's exactly it. Yeah. That's exactly it, Peter.
But you didn't, even with Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, you had a way of seemingly understanding the camera. Or maybe this is just natural. Like, why did, and it's really noticeable on Trucker. When I say noticeable, I'm like, you just know this person understands the camera.
Yeah.
You had that on Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Was this just natural?
You know why I think it was, why I felt comfortable, is because I had a background of modeling.
Oh,
so and this is so interesting too about my modeling days, because obviously they're two very different creative mediums, but whenever I modeled, I would be going into some kind of character, right? Whatever the outfit was or whatever. And I always felt like I embodied it. It was like you hold your body differently this way. You just inevitably do that. Now, of course, with modeling, you're generally looking down the barrel, right? And you're for the camera. But I had a lot of body awareness because of that. Also grew a real thick skin, so it prepped me really nicely for an inevitable, all my experiences in Hollywood that would be forthcoming. So I think that I just knew I knew where the camera was. The tricky thing was for me learning my mark, like learning where to, knowing that I had to stop there, can't look down. Those were my challenges. But as far as the camera, I was very comfortable with seeing it. I was comfortable always with like the crew around. I think that's just because I had years of experience working. But it's funny, I want to go back and watch Kiss Kiss Bang Bang because I haven't seen it since it came out. And in particular, this time of year now, people will mention Kiss Kiss Bang Bang a lot to me because now people consider it a Christmas film.
I was going to say, is it?
It's like a Christmas movie.
Oh my God.
They're like, I always watch it around Christmas time. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I guess it was kind of a Christmas time. But that movie, boy, did that just, Robert and Val were so extraordinary to me, as was Shane. It shaped me so much as an actress. They talk about giving me encouragement. Robert and I would be driving to a different set, and he would share with me some of the craziest stories of himself, kind of growing up. And at the same time, he would really give me a lot of encouragement. Be like, you've got something special. Just keep doing what you're doing, and just stay humble. Stay, he was really he was a mentor. He taught me how to improv. I had no idea what that was, so that was interesting. And he was just a very respectful guy, an actor, and as all of them were. As Val is still a friend today. So I was lucky that it informed so much of my early experiences. And then shortly after that, I got the role of Julia Hunt, of course, and that was another experience that I learned so much on. And so I feel very, very, very lucky about that. And, talk about a guy who knows how to work the camera and it was amazing. It was amazing.
Because you have a career that's filled with a lot of big movies and a lot of small movies. It's, are there elements to the large set that you wish were imposed on small sets, and then vice versa? What are some of the things that you wish that they could trade?
That has a lot to do, I think, with the director, because the director obviously always sets the tone. I really love the intimacy of a small film. I just do. I love 1, 2 cameras. I like a small crew. I like the large ones too. I make friends with all of them, but there's just something really intimate about, and my independent films that I've done have been mostly dramas, so I think that lends itself to the intimacy and the camaraderie and the really tight collaboration. Also, the independent films that I've done have been generally with first-time directors, and I really appreciate that collaboration working with a first-time director. It can be challenging, of course, but I think there's a certain level of respect in each other putting their best foot forward and really cultivating a trust together and really developing it really from the ground up, which I love. And that's when I say, when it's like, sometimes it can be like a little a wink or a nod or like a hand gesture, where it's like you've developed it and cultivated it and nurtured it so much, like we know it like the back of our hand. I love that. Those films are hard to walk away from. They're hard to let go of because they feel like they're really a part of my soul. But I love also like a big movie set, because I'm a lover of film and I'm in awe of the process. Yeah. I'm in awe of everybody that comes to work and does what they do so that we can go and do what we do best. Yeah. And I have so much gratitude for that. You know, when I see the grips and everybody rigging everything, and I love stunts so much, and that's not something I get to do on indie films. Yeah. So I love stunts. I love, put me in a harness and swing me around. Like, those are things that I love. And I think what I'm lucky is that I don't have to trade them, because I've been able to explore all of those things, and that was something that I was actually very conscious of when I started out my career. It's easy, of course, in Hollywood. I'm not the first actor to say, most certainly that you start to do a genre and they're like, you know what, she's really great in romantic comedies. Right. Let's just do that. And I was really, really conscious, fortunately as well, with my agent, who I'm still with today, and that we just made really, strong choices about exploring and really pushing myself as an actor to kind of do the drama and do the comedy and go and do the action film. They were easy choices for me because they all really are representative of the qualities of who I am. And it was just having them really extend to the work that I do, and staying true to that. And I think that's really helped maintain the longevity of my career. It's allowed me to kind of bounce from, say, a little indie to, a big film. And it's allowed me to kind of, also, we're really fortunate in the industry where there's just great television right now and great content. And to be able to kind of, explore all of that as well, and all the great opportunities that exist there.
That's right. I just saw The Family Plan last night. It's so much fun. It's such a fun movie. My first question, I'm scared of this question. Okay. This has nothing to do with you. Okay, but great. I need to know this.
Yeah.
Is that baby real?
Yes. Yes.
That is not a real baby.
Yes, it's twin girls. Oh, everything real baby.
I thought this is the first AI actor.
No. Can you believe it? No, it's real. And not even that. And what's even more remarkable is that we had twin girls, and one of the twins is 90% in the movie, because the other twin was like, I'm not having it. She's like, you know how twins can be very different? Right? Well, the one twin was like very much an empath and just didn't energetically like all the commotion and all the people. And it was just like every time she came to set, she was like, no, thank you. And the other one was like, yay, we're on set. And then, we really bonded, of course. And her name is Ileana. They're both just beautiful. What a beautiful family. Their folks are beautiful. But I will say the only time I think that there was face replacement was when Mark was doing the supermarket scene, of course, and they couldn't, there's things flinging and stuff. But she was a part of that scene for quite some time. And then, of course, when the things started to get flung, they removed that, and they put face replacement with that. But the rest of it, she was there. And in fact, initially, as you can imagine, you know, you're like, okay, you're a part of our family. She's like, I want nothing to do with this family, you know? So it was really, really up to us. And I got to tell you, I got to hand it to the older kids because they became fast friends. They really took that process on, was just like playing with her, putting on music. And then we all started to bond.
That's amazing.
And so those reactions are real. Like the funniest moment is like when he's telling us in the hallway of the casino, and he's like, I used to be an assassin, and now these people are all set out to get me. And then all she goes, like literally, that was a real moment. And we stayed in that moment, but then they cut. And we were like, Ileana, that was amazing. And she was like, you know, but it was so incredible. And I was asking a pal last night, I feel like I haven't seen a movie like that since like Look Who's Talking, maybe.
Where there's so much baby
so much baby. And the baby steals the show. The baby steals the show. It's a fantastic, it's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah.
I mean, so when you were just saying before, co-stars, you learn from them.
Yeah.
This is Mark Wahlberg. Is there always this feeling like, I wonder how this star is going to be? I wonder if I'm going to be able to do my work with this person. This is a big time star.
You know, I'm never really too nervous about it. And I'm going to be honest, I'm very good, I would say, at navigating people, personality, egos. I think I've been around it so much in this industry, again, going back to modeling. I'm because at the end of the day, even if I'm like, this person exhibits kind of qualities that I'm like, well, that aren't ideal or something, my values or how I kind of operate, there's always qualities that I enjoy about a person as we do. And for me, those are the things that I just lean into, because at the end of the day, I want to have a great working relationship, because it's me as well, you know? And so it's important to me to find that common ground, however it is. Certainly not at the expense of my sanity and in any kind of disrespect, but you know, I've been really lucky. I haven't really encountered anything that's been so difficult to navigate. And I was really lucky with Mark, to be honest, because Mark and I worked together briefly on Patriots Day.
Oh, yeah.
We played husband and wife. We didn't actually have a lot of scenes together, but the scenes that we had were really beautiful and really impactful. And that was when I first met him, and he was so respectful, and obviously it was just such an intense subject matter, and of course tonally completely different from what we were doing here. But when he basically called and they offered me the opportunity to work with him again, I jumped at the chance because I knew I was going to have a great time with him. One of the things that I really most admire about Mark as a performer, and I was so excited because it was comedy, and I hadn't done comedy for a long time, so I was excited to kind of dabble in that again. And he has great comedic timing, and we have great chemistry together, but I really respect his work ethic, and he's really dedicated and he's really focused. And why this is so important to me, because it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, is like when you're prepped, when you really know your lines, like the French scene, the German, like all of those things, what you do is just create time and space to then improv and have fun and do all those things. And those are things that are inevitably, you may not use them on the day, but what they do is they inherently bond you. And that is really important to filmmaking.
Yes.
It's so valuable because then you trust each other.
Yes.
And so when you have an environment in which you can play and you can make a fool out of yourself and do something, and you laugh and you have fun, that is invaluable. And so he's punctual, you know, he's there on time, we get it, we get what's on the page, we have fun doing it, and then we get to explore other things. And that is a process that I really, really appreciate.
That's so cool. You said something once when you were talking about acting. You said, this profession has allowed me to grow as a woman. So that was about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Is that something that you value in the work that you have given your life to,
Yeah,
this aspect of it?
100%. I have grown so much personally, navigating this industry, navigating my space within this industry. I'm really proud of my career. I'm proud of how I've navigated it all these years. I'm proud how I've advocated for myself, as we all have to within whatever respective industry that we're in. As a mother, I'm really proud that for my family. And, as I was saying, creatively for me, I grow every time I get to put myself in some other woman's shoes. Like, it's a really, really special. And I really have to give a shout out to my husband, because I get to grow and I continue to get to do this because I have the most supportive partner on the planet that values me and sees how much I value my work. And somebody asked me a question the other day. They're like, as a mom now, and this was fair, they asked Mark as well, as parents rather, do you find that you make different choices as a parent? And I said, I don't, because as an artist, I want the world to be my oyster. It's so important to me to be able to explore all these different facets of myself, and challenge myself, and do work that excites me. And I never feel compelled to have to make a creative choice because of my family. However, when family comes very, very much a part of the process and the decision making, is when I have to look at my husband and we say, okay, how long will this take me away from the family? Can we build in, the weekends and the time that I don't miss the birthdays, and I don't miss the dance competition, or I don't miss your, and if we can carve those things out, and typically we can figure it out, thankfully, then I get to go and do what I love, and do the things that make me grow. And I'm in complete gratitude of that. I always say to my husband, I can't believe I still get to do this job. He's like, you're never going to retire. And I was like, I'm never going to retire. Why would I? One of the things that I really think that will ultimately help me grow as a person, and of course I'm going to put it out there because I'm in the city, is and I'm exploring opportunities all the time to achieve this. But I really want to do a play, and that is something that is really I'm passionate about. I don't feel like my career will feel complete without it. I am so in awe and envious and appreciative of actors who are on stage. Honestly, I saw a show the other night, and it was a comedy with Josh Gad, and I was just smiling and giggling the whole time, but it made me emotional because I think it's just such a gift what actors give audiences day in and day night. And I want that. It sounds weird to say, but it's not. I just want that human experience. I want that it's not the validation or the gratification, but I want that circular experience and that feeling. And I just think, don't get me wrong, it's going to scare the shit out of me. But it's going to be the most fulfilling experience I think I'll have probably ever done for, as an actor.
Michelle Monaghan, I want that for you, but mainly I want that for me.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Thank you for coming here. I appreciate this so much.
Thank you so much for having me. This is an absolute pleasure, and you just kind of made my day. So thank you.
Back to One is a production of Filmmaker Magazine, which is a publication of The Gotham, formerly IFP. Listen to back episodes of this podcast at filmmakermagazine.com or wherever you get your podcasts.